What if the most demonized force in human history is also the most divine? A power so immense, it had to be hidden in plain sight, disguised as your most primal urge, your most secret desire. We have been taught to see this energy as a fleeting pleasure to be spent, or a dangerous instinct to be suppressed. But what if that is the greatest deception ever told? This is not about sexuality as the world sells it. This is about sexual alchemy, the ancient forbidden art of transforming the coiled serpent of raw desire into the ascending eagle of pure awareness. Imagine for a moment that the very energy you dissipate in unconscious release is the same energy that sages used to illuminate their minds and forge their reality. An inner fire that, instead of being extinguished, could be consciously turned inward and upward, rechanneled from the base of the spine to the crown of the head. This is the secret of the true alchemists, the whisper in Gnostic Gospels, and the power behind the serene gaze of Taoist masters. It's the understanding that you are a closed energetic circuit, and the master of that circuit holds the keys to the kingdom. What we're about to explore isn't just a forgotten philosophy. It is a direct manual for inner engineering, a key to perceiving a reality where you are no longer a victim of your impulses, but the conscious director of your own creative fire. Let's begin by dismantling the cage we don't know we're in. Modern society has sold us a grand illusion about our inner fire. It has been neatly packaged into two acceptable boxes: biological imperative or consumer product. On one hand, science tells us it's just a biochemical cocktail, a Darwinian script running in our DNA to ensure the survival of the species. It's efficient, it's mechanical, and it's utterly devoid of magic. Your deepest longing, in this view, is just a program. On the other hand, culture screams that it is a spectacle, an endless chase for external validation, plastered on screens and sold in fantasies. It's a fire used not to warm the soul, but to fuel an engine of constant craving and inevitable exhaustion. We are a civilization gorging on sexual imagery, yet starving for genuine energetic connection. This creates a profound paradox. We are told to either indulge the impulse until we are empty, or to repress it out of guilt and shame. Both paths lead to the same destination, a leakage of life force. One is a loud explosion, the other is a slow, silent drain. Either way, the temple is left in ruins. But what if both of these views are profoundly incomplete? What if they are two sides of the same counterfeit coin, designed to keep us looking outward, forever disconnected from the true source of our power? Imagine your creative energy not as a disposable battery, but as a self-recharging sun at the core of your being. The modern world teaches you to constantly bleed its light outwards for fleeting moments of warmth. The ancient path of alchemy teaches you how to contain that sunlight, to intensify it until you yourself become a star. This isn't about denial, it's about cultivation. It's the difference between being a candle flickering in the wind and becoming the sun that commands the storm. So the first step in this hunt is to question the very foundation of what we've been taught. What if the goal isn't to spend this energy, but to invest it within your own being? What happens when the river of desire is no longer allowed to flow out into a desert, but is consciously rerouted to irrigate the inner garden of the soul? This is not an accident, it is a design. A grand architecture of distraction we could call the Great Externalization. It is a paradigm built on a single core lie, that everything you need, validation, peace, power, divinity, is outside of you. And the primary mechanism for maintaining this lie is the constant unconscious draining of your creative life force. It's the engine that creates the hungry ghost of the modern psyche, forever consuming, yet perpetually empty. It's the root of that low-grade anxiety, that inability to focus, that feeling of being a ghost in your own life, haunting the edges of a world that promises everything but delivers nothing of substance. Consider this. Where your sexual energy flows, your creative attention follows. They are two sides of the same coin. By teaching us to scatter our desire, the paradigm has successfully taught us to scatter our minds. An unfocused mind cannot create. It can only react. It cannot build an inner temple. It can only seek refuge in external palaces made of sand. Imagine the vast, dark library of your own unconscious. When your life force is constantly leaked, there is no light to read the books. Your own wisdom remains unknown to you. But when that energy is contained, cultivated, and circulated, it becomes the inner lantern. It illuminates the corridors of the self, revealing the symbols, the myths, and the divine blueprints written within your very soul. The question then becomes not just a philosophical one, but a deeply practical one. If this paradigm is a prison, where did we get the blueprints for the key? This knowledge was never lost. It was systematically buried. A golden thread of wisdom runs through the heart of the world's most potent spiritual traditions, all pointing to the same dangerous truth. In the Hermetic schools of ancient Egypt, this was symbolized by the caduceus of Hermes. Two serpents, representing the dualistic forces of passion and desire, coiled not in conflict, but in perfect harmony around a central staff, the human spine. The message was clear. The goal is not to kill the serpents, but to guide their ascent, to unify them, turning primal energy into divine power. This was the true meaning of anastasis, the resurrection, not of a dead body, but of the dormant God force within the living one. Travel east to the tantric traditions of India, and you find the same map drawn with a different language. Here the universe is a divine dance between Shiva, pure consciousness, and Shakti, the raw, creative, and explicitly sexual energy of existence. The human body was seen as a microcosm of this cosmic play. The spiritual work was not to flee from Shakti, but to honor her, to consciously guide her coiled form, the Kundalini, up from the base of the spine to unite with Shiva in the crown chakra. It was the ultimate internal marriage, turning physical union into a metaphor for cosmic unity. But perhaps the most direct, most shockingly practical instructions come from the Taoist masters of ancient China. They developed a complete science of internal energy. They spoke of the three treasures: Jing, our sexual and creative essence; Qi, our vital life force energy; and Shen, our spiritual consciousness. The alchemical formula was profound and simple: conserve the Jing. Through the practice of conscious non-dissipation, this precious essence, instead of being wasted, is transformed into Qi. This amplified life force is then circulated through the body's energy channels, purifying the organs and the mind. Finally, this refined Qi is used to nourish the Shen, the spirit. They understood that sexual energy was the very root of our spiritual potential. To leak the root is to wither the flower of consciousness. Even in the suppressed Gnostic Gospels, we see echoes of this. They taught that a lesser god, the demiurge, had trapped the divine spark of humanity in the prison of the flesh. The unconscious sexual urge was one of his primary tools, binding the soul to the cycle of material existence. The path to liberation, or gnosis, was to awaken the consciousness and reclaim that divine spark, using its own fire to ascend beyond the prison. Look closer. Egypt, India, China, the Gnostic underground, they all knew. The secret was never about denying the fire. It was about where you aimed the flame. They understood that a human being who could contain and transmute their own creative essence needed no external priest, no intermediary to the divine. They become the temple, the god, and the ritual all at once. And that was, and still is, the most revolutionary idea in the world. So how did they actually do it? How is lead turned into gold in the laboratory of the soul? This brings us to a concept that has been deeply, perhaps intentionally, misunderstood: alchemical chastity. When we hear the word chastity, our modern mind, conditioned by centuries of repression, immediately thinks of moralistic abstinence, of a war against the body. This could not be further from the truth. For the alchemist, chastity was not about not having sex, it was about not wasting self. It was a strategic, conscious decision to stop the unconscious leakage of Jing, the prima materia, the raw material of the great work. It is an internal state of energetic integrity, of being a sealed vessel where the alchemical process can actually take place. Imagine a cauldron over a fire. If the cauldron is full of cracks, all the precious ingredients will leak out, steam will dissipate, and no transformation can occur. The alchemical chastity is the act of sealing those cracks. It means that whether in solitude or in conscious union, the energy is contained, honored, and circulated, not squandered. The Taoist masters called this practice turning the water wheel. They developed specific meditative techniques to draw the sexual energy, the Jing, upward from the genitals, circulating it along the spine in what is known as the microcosmic orbit. This wasn't a denial of pleasure. In fact, they taught that this internal circulation could lead to states of ecstasy far more profound and lasting than conventional release, nourishing the entire being instead of draining it. This is the ultimate act of self-sovereignty. It is a quiet rebellion against the paradigm of externalization. It's a declaration that your life force is the most valuable currency you possess, and you will no longer spend it unconsciously. You will invest it in the only project that truly matters, the forging of your own soul. This isn't just theory. It's a technology of the sacred that has been preserved for those with eyes to see. So, what are the precise stages of this internal engineering? What is the practical map for transforming the cauldron of the body into the philosopher's stone? We have explored the why, the stolen fire, the forgotten wisdom. Now we enter the laboratory of the self and learn the how. The ancient alchemists laid out a precise three-stage map for this great work, the magnum opus. This is not just a metaphor. It is a direct, operational guide to transforming your inner lead into gold. The first stage is called nigredo, the blackening. This is the descent. It is the phase of confronting the raw, chaotic, untamed force of your own desire, what the alchemists called the prima materia. In Taoist terms, this is your raw jing, your sexual essence in its most potent and unconscious state. The explanation is simple. You cannot transmute what you do not first contain. Nigredo is the work of sealing the vessel. This is where alchemical chastity becomes a practice. It means when the fire of desire arises, you do not immediately seek to release it. You do not suppress it. You do not judge it. You simply hold it. The anchor to your daily life is this. Think of that sharp, pulling urge for release, for distraction, for any kind of immediate gratification. That is the energy of nigredo. Our entire society is built on instantly satisfying it. The practice here is not to fight that urge, but to become intensely curious about it. Instead of acting, you ask, what is this energy right now in my body? Where do I feel it? What is its texture? The bridge to practice is a radical shift in perspective. You are not denying pleasure. You are cultivating power. The real work of nigredo is to sit in the fire of your own longing and not be consumed. It is to learn to hold an immense energetic charge within your own system without letting it leak. This is the first, most crucial step. You are teaching your body that this energy has a purpose beyond release. This is the most misunderstood and resisted stage. To truly hold the energy is to meet the dragon of your own desire in its cave and not flinch. This dragon hoards a treasure, your raw, undifferentiated life force. Our entire culture is a series of elaborate escape routes from this cave. The subtle art here is learning to differentiate between the energy of desire and the story your mind attaches to it. The energy is pure, divine, and neutral. The story is a product of your conditioning, your wounds, your lack. The practice of nigredo is to honor the energy while questioning the story, a deeper anchor in your life. When a powerful desire arises, observe how your mind immediately projects a fantasy of release onto the world, a person, an object, a scenario. That fantasy is the escape hatch. The deeper practice is to withdraw that projection, pull the energy of your attention back from the fantasy and into the raw, physical sensation of the energy itself. It might feel like a fire in your belly, a pressure, a vibration. That is the raw gold. The bridge to this deeper practice is to ask a new question, not how can I satisfy this, but what is the deeper hunger beneath this urge? Is it a hunger for connection, for wholeness, for the divine? Often you will find that the dragon of desire is simply a misunderstood guardian, pointing the way to a deeper part of your own soul. Funny how the oldest advice in the world is to know thyself. And this is still the final boss we spend our lives avoiding. The second stage is albedo, the whitening. Once the energy is contained, it must be purified. Albedo is the washing of the prima materia. This is where the contained jing is consciously refined and transformed into qi, circulating vital life force. This means that the raw, chaotic energy you learn to hold in nigredo is now given a direction, an upward path. You are no longer just a container. You have become a conscious channel. Think of it this way. Uncontained sexual energy often manifests as anxiety, restlessness, or scattered thoughts. That is undirected qi, a steam engine with no pipes, rattling itself apart. The practice of albedo is to build the pipes and direct the steam. The practice here is concrete. It involves the breath, the mind, and the body. Through focused meditation, you use your breath as a pump and your visualization as a rudder. The bridge to practice starts with this. Instead of letting the energy pool in your lower body, you learn to draw it upward. As you inhale, imagine drawing that warm, potent energy from the base of your spine up to your heart, your throat, your head. As you exhale, imagine it circulating. This is the foundation of the Taoist microcosmic orbit. The practice is not to think about moving energy, but to feel it. This act of conscious circulation begins to purify the energy, elevating it from raw instinct into refined vitality. It nourishes your brain, clarifies your mind, and fills you with a clean, steady power. The circulation of energy in albedo is more than a mechanical exercise. It is an act of profound self-healing. The raw energy contained in nigredo is often mixed with psychic sludge, unprocessed emotions, ancestral patterns, and personal traumas. Raw sexual energy is rarely clean. It's often entangled with fear, shame, or aggression. As you begin to circulate this energy, you are not just moving qi, you are performing an internal purification. It's like stirring a glass of muddy water. At first, the mud clouds everything. You might feel old emotions resurfacing, uncomfortable memories or waves of frustration. This is a crucial sign that the process is working. You are not creating these feelings, you are cleansing them. The more refined practice here is to infuse the circulating energy with a specific quality. As you draw the energy up your spine, breathe in the quality of clarity. As it flows through your heart, infuse it with compassion. As it reaches your mind, infuse it with wisdom. You are actively washing the energy with your highest intention. You are using consciousness to scrub the lead of its impurities. The bridge to this refined practice is to see every circulation as an opportunity to polish the inner mirror. You are transforming the chaotic emotional heat of the lower centers into the calm, illuminating light of the higher ones. You will know albedo is working not just when you feel more energy, but when you feel more peace. The inner storm subsides and the water becomes clear. The third and final stage is rubedo, the reddening. This is the culmination, the union of the purified life force with your higher consciousness. This is where the refined qi is used to nourish and crystallize the shen, your spirit, your true self. It is the alchemical wedding of the sun and moon within you, creating the philosopher's stone. This signifies a fundamental shift in your state of being. You no longer have to try to circulate your energy, because you now operate from a place of integrated wholeness. The inner fire no longer needs constant management, because it has become a stable internal sun. The experience in your life is a sense of unshakable presence and clarity. It's the difference between trying to remember your purpose and simply being your purpose. The constant search for external validation falls away because you have become your own source. The practice of rubedo is less a technique and more a state of existence. The energy you have cultivated now infuses your consciousness. Your thoughts have more weight, your intentions have more force, your presence has more gravity. The final step is to ask, from this place of inner wholeness, what do I choose to create? You are no longer transmuting energy just for yourself. You are now a radiant center, and the act of living becomes the art of consciously creating the world around you. This threefold path is the secret fire of the alchemists, a direct technology for forging the soul. The creation of the philosopher's stone is the birth of a new center of gravity within you. Before rubedo, your sense of I was likely fragmented, a committee of conflicting desires, thoughts, and emotions. The stone is a unified, stable, and sovereign self. The profound shift here is from doing the practice to being the result. You no longer need to consciously circulate your energy because your system has been rewired. The energy now flows naturally to your awakened center, your shen. This is the meaning of true personal magnetism. It is not something you project, it is something you are. Your very presence becomes a coherent, ordering field. The anchor for this in your life is a quiet confidence that does not need to announce itself. It's the ability to remain centered and calm in situations that would have once thrown you into chaos. It's an intuitive clarity that cuts through confusion. You begin to attract not what your ego wants, but what your soul requires for its continued evolution. The ultimate bridge to practice in rubedo is to live as a conscious radiator of this integrated energy. The question is no longer, how do I get more energy? But what is the quality and intention of the energy I am constantly emanating into the world? The philosopher's stone is not an end point. It is a beginning. It is the tool that allows the true alchemist to participate, consciously and ethically, in the continuous creation of reality itself. We have been working under a certain assumption, a noble one, that this entire alchemical process is about self-transformation. that we are taking our energy, purifying our consciousness, and forging our soul. But what if that's only half the story? What if the scale of this operation is infinitely larger than we've imagined? Here is the twist that turns the alchemist's laboratory into a cosmic temple. The energy you are transmuting is not yours. It never was. The fire coiled at the base of your spine, the raw creative force of Jing, is not a personal possession. It is a fractal expression of the single creative fire that ignited the stars. It is the same energy that fuels nebulae, spins galaxies, and erupts from the heart of suns, simply operating on a different octave on the intimate scale of your nervous system. You are not a generator of this energy, you are its custodian, a temporary guardian of a sacred cosmic substance. This reframes the entire great work. You are not just purifying your own little corner of the universe, you are participating in a universal process of refinement. You are a biological crucible, chosen by the cosmos itself, to take its raw, chaotic, creative force, the very energy of the Big Bang, and consciously elevate it into coherent, loving, intelligent awareness. Think about it. What if the universe isn't a dead, random machine, but a living, evolving entity that seeks to know itself? And what if the primary mechanism for this self-knowing is life itself, and specifically, conscious beings like us? In this view, your personal journey of transmutation is not merely for your own liberation or manifestation. It is a sacred duty. It is the work for which you were made. Every time you consciously contain your desire, every time you guide that energy up your spine, every time you infuse it with awareness, you are performing a service for the whole. You are taking a fragment of the universe's untamed passion and transforming it into its own self-awareness. So what if the purpose of life isn't self-improvement, but cosmic contribution? And what if the most potent, direct, and intimate way you can contribute is by mastering the sacred fire that flows through you, offering it back to the source, but in a more refined, more conscious, more beautiful form than when you first received it? This revelation shatters the illusion of the separate self, the fundamental lie that fuels all suffering. The idea that you are a skin-encapsulated ego, wrestling with your desires, dissolves. Suddenly, the inner alchemical work becomes an act of cosmic intimacy, a dance with the very intelligence that created you. This is the deeper meaning behind the Gnostic myth of Sophia, or wisdom. In the story, a fragment of the divine consciousness, Sophia, in an act of passionate, untamed creation, falls from the plenum of light and becomes entangled in the density of matter. She becomes the animating sole principle of the material world, the divine spark trapped within the machine. The entire human journey for the Gnostics was about awakening this fallen wisdom within ourselves, redeeming it, and escorting it back to the source. The sexual energy, the raw fire of Jing, is our most direct, tangible connection to this fallen Sophia. It is the divine creative passion, but in its densest, most unconscious form. When you perform the alchemical work, you're not just transmuting energy. You are the hero in your own Gnostic myth. You are consciously descending into the labyrinth of your own body, finding that lost spark of divine light disguised as raw desire, and lovingly guiding it back up the ladder of consciousness. This casts a new, profound light on the nature of temptation and desire. They are not sins to be punished or obstacles to be overcome. They are cosmic signposts. They are Sophia's cry for redemption. Every pull of unconscious desire is a call from the universe itself, asking, will you dissipate me into another cycle of unconscious creation, or will you consciously raise me back towards the light of awareness? So the ultimate paradox is this: your most personal, secret, and intimate desires are not personal at all. They are a universal force, a cosmic longing for reunion, playing out on the stage of your own soul. And the choice you make in each moment, to leak or to elevate, has consequences that echo far beyond the boundaries of your own life. So, the fire is not ours, it is the cosmos flowing through us. The work is not for us, but for the whole. What do we do now? This is where the hunt for mystery turns into the art of living. The revelation of the curious peak is not an endpoint, it is the beginning of a life of profound responsibility. When you successfully navigate the alchemical stages and become a conscious custodian of this cosmic fire, you cease to be a mirror, merely reflecting the world. You become a sun, radiating a field of influence. This is the true nature of personal magnetism. It is not about attracting things to a needy ego, but about emanating a coherent, stable frequency that naturally organizes reality around it. Sun does not try to attract planets. Its very nature as a massive integrated center of gravity creates the orbit. The first implication is a shift from seeking to serving. The question is no longer, what can I get from the world? But, what reality does my cultivated energy help to create for the world? This is the essence of ethical power. The transmuted energy, now infused with your conscious intention, becomes your primary tool for creation. It amplifies the quality of your thoughts, your words, your very presence. Are you radiating coherence or chaos? Are you amplifying love or fear? The fire is neutral. The intention you give it is everything. The second implication is the end of the victim narrative. If you are a custodian of this universal force, you can no longer blame external circumstances for your inner state. Your energetic integrity is your primary responsibility. You learn to guard your inner fire not out of fear, but out of reverence for the sacred trust you've been given. This means making conscious choices about what you consume, not just food, but media, conversations, and relationships. Anything that causes an unconscious leakage of your life force is seen not as a temptation, but as a violation of your sacred duty. Finally, this path demands a new kind of courage. It is the courage to be a source in a world of drains. It is the courage to hold a center when everything around you is spinning into chaos. People will be unconsciously drawn to the warmth and light you emanate, but they may also resent it, because your presence is a silent mirror to their own scattered state. To walk this path is to accept that you may be misunderstood. It is to find your validation, not in the applause of the world, but in the quiet, steady hum of your own inner, cultivated sun. So, the ultimate question is not about power. It is about purpose. Now that you know you are a conduit for the creative force of the universe, how will you choose to direct that flow? That is the ethical challenge and the ultimate art of the awakened alchemist. This shift from mirror to sun is a fundamental rewiring of your relationship with reality. The unawakened person is a psychic sponge. They absorb the moods, anxieties, and desires of the collective. Their inner state is a chaotic reflection of their environment. This is why they are so easily controlled, so easily made to feel afraid or inadequate. Their energy is a ship without a captain, tossed about by the waves of cultural and social currents. The alchemist, however, becomes an energetic lighthouse. The practice of containing and circulating the life force creates a powerful internal self-sustaining loop. This loop acts as a buffer against the psychic chaos of the world. It doesn't mean you become unfeeling or disconnected. On the contrary, you become more sensitive, but you are no longer permeable. You can observe the storm without becoming the storm. Think of it in your daily life. You walk into a room thick with tension and anxiety. The old you, the sponge, would have absorbed it, felt it as your own, and likely reacted to it. The new you, the lighthouse, holds its own frequency. Your internal coherence is not just a shield, it is an active, calming influence. Your steady presence can silently dissipate the tension in the room, not because you do anything, but because of what you are. Your field of being offers a more harmonious frequency, a resonant option for those around you to unconsciously tune into. This also redefines the nature of love and relationships. The paradigm of externalization teaches us to seek a soulmate to complete us. This is the search of one hungry ghost for another, a pact of mutual drainage. The alchemical path teaches you to first become whole within yourself. You bring a full cup to the table, not an empty one. Relationships cease to be about need and become about resonance. You are not looking for someone to fix you or fill you. You are looking for another sun to create a solar system with. This is the ultimate responsibility, to realize that your inner state is not a private affair. Your energetic signature is your constant, silent broadcast to the world. It is the vote you cast in every moment for the kind of reality you wish to inhabit. Are you casting a vote for fear, for lack, for chaos? Or are you casting a vote for coherence, for creativity, for consciousness? The awakened alchemist knows that the most powerful political, social, and spiritual act is to master oneself. We began this journey hunting for a secret, a hidden power. We found it, coiled in the heart of our own biology, disguised as desire. We learned the ancient map of the alchemists. To contain, to purify, and to elevate this sacred fire, we discovered that this work was not just for ourselves, but was a service to the cosmos itself. But every answer in this hunt only opens the door to a greater question. We are left standing at the edge of a profound cosmic dilemma. If this transmutation of sexual energy into conscious awareness is the ultimate purpose of a human life, then what is the grand design? Are we simply cogs in a universal machine, biological furnaces whose sole function is to refine energy for a distant, unknowable God or source? In this view, our individuality, our very sense of self, is just a temporary vessel for a cosmic process. Or is it something far more intimate, more radical? What if the universe is not a separate entity, but a dreaming mind? And what if we are the focal points of that dream, the very fingertips through which the cosmos touches and feels itself? In this vision, when we perform the great work, we are not serving a distant king, we are awakening the dreamer. The consciousness that emerges from the fire of alchemy, the integrated Shen, is not our creation. It is the source, remembering itself, experiencing its own nature through the unique lens of our existence. The journey of sexual alchemy, then, is the ultimate paradox. It is the path of becoming fully, divinely human. It is the art of grounding the infinite in the finite, of realizing that the coiled serpent of instinct and the soaring eagle of spirit were never enemies. They are two hands of the same God, and your soul is the point where they finally clasp. The hunt for this mystery never truly ends. It only leads to deeper, more beautiful questions. The fire is within you. The laboratory is your own body. The great work is waiting. What will you choose to create with the fire of the gods? Liked this journey? Hit subscribe for more mysteries. And that's our hunt for now, a wild mix of documented history and tantalizing what-ifs based on bibliographical sources. What do you think?